Hello, my name is Solomon Chapman, and this is my mental health case study project. So first we have to go to the details about my disorder that I chose. So my disorder that I chose is called social anxiety disorder. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's basically a mental disorder that inhibits your ability to socialize as well. So it gives you some anxiety. And I chose this disorder because I watched a video about someone who does have it on YouTube. I thought they had a really interesting personality, so that's why I chose a mental disorder, which I'll go through eventually. So social anxiety disorder hasn't been around for too long. Shyness has been traced back to 400 BC in social situations with like some Greek author, like ancient Greek. But the first mention of the term social media, which is a different name for the same thing, which made back in the early 1900s, specifically 1903, in a French psychiatry article. The symptoms for social anxiety disorder are social isolation from others, hypervigilance, which is being an enhanced state of sensory sensitivity. So, like, you're very, very aware of what's happening around you, like more than an average person. Feeling of inferiority, low self-esteem, difficulty socializing with others. And then once it happens, you can have stuff like blushing and sweating, a racing heart, shaking, nausea, and dizziness, avoidance of conversation, lump in the throat, muscle tension and pain, and you just want to escape. It's you don't have to socialize. How is social anxiety disorder diagnosed? There are some rating skills that can be used to test for diagnosis of social anxiety disorder and measure the severity of it, which are four biggest ones are social phobia inventory, SPIAB, which is social phobia anxiety inventory brief, the Leibowitz social anxiety scale, and the social interaction anxiety scale. So how do you treat this disorder? So it's treated in two different ways. First is usually psychotherapies, and then if that doesn't work, you can get some medications, or some people do want to have psychotherapies can have medications. The usual kind of therapy that people do to treat their disorder is cognitive behavioral therapy because it changes the way their mind thinks, and so it changes their anxiety of socializing for the better of being able to talk to people. The usual kind of medication for the treatment disorder are pills of SSRIs, which are selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, and a very famous one's paroxetine, which is solar Seroxat, and it basically just helps them calm down, so they're easier to socialize. So do diet and exercise affect this disorder? They both do. A reduction in anxiety has been shown following exercise while having a group therapy after it. It has reduced the amount of anxiety. And eating more fermented foods like yogurt, bread, all those stuff in that picture. It has been linked to fewer symptoms of social anxiety, which can help them. So who's this person I'm talking about? Because I found him on YouTube and I haven't even said anything about them, like no clue. Well, person I'm talking about is Zack Greinke, as you can see by him on there. He's 37 years old. He was born on October 21st, 1983 in Orlando, Florida. He's currently a professional baseball pitcher for the Hьюston Astros of the MLB. There's two things for him. Second one's him pitching and how he's pretty good at it. And the first one was just him not wanting to be there. And he played for the Diamondbacks before moving to Houston. He only moved there during 2019, so it wasn't part of the Sheen scandal. So he's famous for two things. He's famous for his pitching, and he's famous for his anxiety social situations. For his pitching, he's been All-Star game 6 times. He's won the Cy Young back in 09. He's a 6-time winner of the Gold Glove, which is basically best fielder for position, and he does it for pitchers. He's also been a 2-time winner of the Silver Slugger, same thing, but just for batting, and he's done for the pitcher side. And he's twice been an MLB ERA leader, which earned run average is basically how many runs do you let score when you pitch, and that's the average that you do. And for social anxiety, the most famous bit of it is not sitting with the rest of the Astros in their dugout, but instead sitting in the bleachers nearby. He only started doing this during the quarantine games because, I mean, you can't do that when there's people in the stadium. Now there's not anymore. Now there's like cutouts. They have been recently letting people back in, but But he just sits like near it. He just doesn't want to be in the dugout, and they let him. So how old was he when he was diagnosed? He was 22 years old when he was diagnosed with social anxiety disorder. He was also diagnosed with depression. It was sometime between late February because he left spring training for that season for personal reasons, and April 17th because he reported back to the spring training facility of the Royals, who played before, of 2006. So yeah, he was 22 years old, not 23 because his birthday wasn't there yet. So what triggers this disorder? Is this really any kind of social situation? Is some trigger more like big groups of people, like dugout clearing things, like that triggers it a lot. And some of them trigger a lot less. It's just like a normal conversation with a person. It happens, but it's not too bad. A lot less. I almost messed up there. So what are Zack Greinke's symptoms? He just wants to get out of the social situation if possible, and he does things that no normal baseball pitchers do. He just tries to get out if he can of any situation, which is pretty self-explanatory. But for the things that no normal pitchers do, he's called out his catcher signals at one point. He throws 50-mile curveballs because it tricks them. And he's literally pulling his catcher signs to their players, saying no, but yet they still don't hit it because he always throws in like in a position where they don't expect it. It's the right pitch, just not the position. So what does he do to relieve his anxieties? Like I say, he just wants to get out of the situation that he's in because he just doesn't want to be in there. If he can't, he's just ironically funny. He really is. My favorite part is when he in an interview he was during the 2019 World Series, they lost to the Washington Nationals, and he was like, an interview asked him, "We're going to Game 7 of the 2019 World Series. We're gonna take all." Yeah, gonna be a big game. That's literally what he said. You can find on YouTube. So how is this environment, personal health interrelated? So they're interrelated because being a professional sports player and any widely professional sport like baseball, basketball, soccer, ice hockey, basketball, auto racing, all those kind of things. It's highly stressful because of the attention you get and the attendance that you get per game, so it kind of messes with them a little bit. So his disorders exceeded because of those constraints. Besides that, not too much. So what is his personal susceptibility to injury when engaged in unhealthy behaviors? The rest of it didn't fit. It doesn't really change their social anxiety too much, but it would get worse. He has done some things that have been like, he's been ejected because he didn't reach the base in time before the baseball started the ground when he was playing with the Milwaukee Brewers. And he's been the cause of, I think, 2 dugout clearing fights in a few baseball games. I think it's either 2 or 3, I forget. What life changes is made due to disorder. He doesn't do many interviews for someone who's popular because he's one of the best pitchers of that's playing right now. He's not the best, but he's one of the best because of his disorder, given social anxiety. He just doesn't want to do too many interviews, and if he does, it's just like quick ones or just ones where he doesn't. Like the Zoom ones have really helped him because there's not a lot of people around, and the only thing you can see is her face. So that has helped him a lot. So finally, the last slide. What treatment is he on and what should he be prescribed? After he was diagnosed with social anxiety disorder and depression, he began seeing a sports psychologist and he started taking some antidepressant medications. I couldn't find out exactly what. I don't even know if he still does those things anymore because I couldn't find anything about that either. But if he does still, they will still help him because if he absolutely needs them, it will calm him down. Like the antidepressant medication, if he knows it's going to be like a big game, and then sports psychologist after the game to calm himself down. And as always, thanks for watching my video thing.